Hi there. Busy day for journalists for the largest opposition party, the NDC, and some scores of Ghanaians. And we wrap it all up here on News Tonight, coupled with comprehensive analysis and updates of all the stories making the rounds here in Ghana and across the globe. You're welcome to the program. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, NDC demands immediate release of forensic findings on voters' register and an urgent meeting with key stakeholders, including ECOWAS and the African Union, as stages a mammoth demonstration against the Electoral Commission. Tonight, we tell you how some communities are struggling to access potable water as effects of galamsey bites harder. Ahead in business, you want to be on the lookout in your online transactions as nearly 2 million cedis has been lost in 2024 alone to online fraud. And later on the foreign front, hundreds of members of the Hezbollah group reportedly injured after handheld pages exploded. We have details of all these and many more, all in this 60 minutes program. Do stay tuned in. We begin this bulletin on the war against galamsey as illegal gold mining, known locally as galamsey, continues to ravage communities across Ghana. But in the small coastal town of Briwa, the consequences have become unbearable. Women, children and the elderly now risk their lives every day searching for the one thing they can't live without. That's water, of course. As GHOne's Alizaite reports, the hope of residents for clean water has dried up, just like the taps that once provided a lifeline to that community.
It begins with a trickle, if it comes at all. In Briwa, a small town in Ghana's central region, water, once abundant, is now a precious, fleeting hope. The Ghana Water Company says nearly 60% of this catchment area is clogged with silt, leaving raw water sources inconsumable. This is because illegal mining activities have devastated the Setraheman water treatment plant, cutting off clean water to Briwa and several other communities in the central region. Private water vending stations often lead to chaotic scenes, with tempers flaring as residents compete for the scarce resource. Women and children now trek for kilometers from Briwa to this abandoned sand mine, their only available water source.
This water, some people use it for cooking, washing, drinking, for anything. So when we doesn't come here, we will not get water.
Experts say chemicals like mercury and cyanide from illegal mining and industrial activities contaminate water, air and soil, which produce serious health risks. Dr. Maxwell Mante is the medical director at the Briwa Polyclinic, which serves over 7,000 people.
Our top two diseases here are typhoid fever, and then malaria.
The Ghana Water Company has warned that if illegal mining is not kept, more treatment plants, including the Trifuhiman, may have to shut down. The government is now under mounting pressure to find a permanent solution to the illegal mining crisis, or could pay the price politically.
Mofuma luko skula na mofanka kama okita galams na wana mokwa ho na ebimpu kalo bobbo ne ye hye won nti asampanyufo da won hyan papa wocha weyo won hwa biri won ye hye to aba anya wo aba wo mi hwanu no won ka do fu parliament on ya be ambre nsmen ngwa wo san po ogura enya so ye bo ogura be ye kokko betiri wa ambre so ye nto aba bem
But until then, the people of Briwa, including Ajwa, the children and the thousands who depend on its dwindling water supply, will continue to pay a heavy price just to quench their thirst.
So the full story will air tomorrow here on this channel, so you want to look out for it. That's a story by Alice IT. Now, the regional minister in one of the regions worst affected by the Galamsey menace has rubbished ongoing calls from the organized labor, religious, traditional leaders and other advocacy groups for a total ban to be placed on illegal mining in the country. According to the Eastern Regional Minister, Seth Kwame Champon, such a move will have dire consequences on the Ghanaian economy. The negative impact of the menace on the environment and its attendant effect on water bodies in the country has led to growing concerns for a complete ban on all mining and mining-related activities. Organized labor and some professional bodies have indicated their intention to embark on an industrial action at the end of September if the government fails to heed to their demands for a ban on the menace. But in a response, government has once again deployed the police and military to clamp down on those who are engaged in such acts. But despite the widespread nature of the calls for a ban, the Eastern Regional Minister says such a move will not be in the country's best interest. He spoke to Star News.
We're in a season where it is not easy for any person. We can't lie about it. It is a very heated temperature now for all political actors. I'm a political animal myself, and I'll not sit here about it. And so it is for all of us to go out there and canvass for the support of the people. So certain actions are not helpful, they are not helpful, and they need to be addressed. We have lawful citizens and unlawful members in the community. In my region, most of our recent arrests have been non-Ghanaians who have been hiding and working in some of these pits and working on some of the water bodies. The chamfines we have retrieved on the brim are all the people you arrest, you profile them and you check them. You'll be surprised, they can't even speak a local vernacular language of our republic. But we have to manage and work with them because that is what is the reality. It is what it is. And so that's what we're saying. But I'm talking engagement. You talked about organized labor. You showed the clip of some other bodies called the Small Scale Miners Association. And they are lawfully working because they have been given the permit to work. And we go after all those people. When, like they talked about, if you go beyond the buffer, if you have a concession and you go beyond the buffer of a 200, we will come after you.
So that was the Eastern Regional Minister Seth Kwame Champon in that conversation with me earlier. Now, flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mohammed Baumia, says his approach to fighting the menace of illegal mining is to use a comprehensive one that will lead to preventing the practice. Speaking at a stakeholder engagement in GHOne, Dr. Baumia said it is time to consider the formalization as a tool to help those interested in mining to do so responsibly. He stressed that there is a need to look at the small-scale mining regime to help deal with it.
One needs to look at the whole regime of small-scale mining and sanitize that regime, regularize the regime, make sure that the Geological Survey, the authority of Ghana, number one, does the mapping for where all the gold reserves are. At the moment, people are just doing trial and error, destroying our environment. There is no data backing where they go. They just go and dig, they don't find, they go to the next place and start digging, they don't find, they go to the next place. But I want us to set up community mining schemes with certainty from the Geological Survey Department that here you have gold. In that case, we can make sure that those who are mining there are regularized. We bring in these gold catcher machines that don't use mercury and make sure that they are not in water bodies. So we direct them and license them into areas so that they do responsible mining, environmentally sustainable mining. That is the way you stop this. But if you don't regulate them, then they will hide to do it at night, and when they feel people are not watching them, that's where they will go. They will get into the water bodies. But we need to regulate them, and we need to also enforce the laws.
It's now time for our biggest story of the night.
Insight is brought to you by Pepsodent Herbal for strong teeth and gums and Pepsodent Charcoal for natural whiter teeth.
So today the NDC staged its mammoth demonstration. Enough is enough demo across all 16 regional capitals. The national youth organizer of the party, GHOne Oparado, has called on key traditional leaders, including the Asanteni, Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II, Ochehene Osagyefo Amoatio Foipin, and the National House of Chiefs to intervene and ensure that the Electoral Commission conducts a free and fair election on December 7. He warned that Ghana would not remain sane if the EC attempts to undermine the people's will.
Addressing hundreds of NDC supporters in Koforidua after a peaceful protest against the EC's refusal to carry out a forensic audit of the voters' register, National Youth Organizer of the NDC, GHOne Oparado, stressed that the NDC will accept nothing short of victory, stating that change is coming and that justice through a fair election is key to peace. He further urged the country's traditional leaders, particularly Otumfuo Osei-Tutu and the Ochehene, to take action by calling the EC to order to safeguard the integrity of the upcoming elections.
We have presented our petition to the EC in a very civilized manner. We have done the needful. We expect more winning Ghanaians. We are calling on Otumfuo Osei-Tutu and all our distinguished chiefs that Ghana is for all of us. If we are looking for peace, there is an antidote to a peaceful election. It is called justice. Free and fair elections must be conducted, else this country will not remain the same.
Hundreds of supporters, including party executives, members of parliament and former NDC appointees from all 33 constituencies in the region, participated in the demonstration. They wielded placards with various inscriptions expressing their frustration while chanting NDC anthems. The Eastern Regional Chairman of the NDC, Dr. Mark Oliver, led the party to present a petition at the Eastern Regional Office of the Electoral Commission.
A petition on serious fraudulent activities we have uncovered on the voters' register, and we have already presented it at your national office. Their response wasn't satisfactory. That is the reason why the people of this country, together with our party, we are here to present to you officially a petition on those illegalities that has happened.
The NDC alleges significant discrepancies in voter transfers, claiming the numbers recorded in some constituencies far exceeds the EC's official figures, a concern corroborated by some members of parliament in the region.
We are calling on the EC that we want a total audit of all the register, the total register of the EC. That is what will give us comfort, because we as NDC have realized that our continuous existence as a party depends on getting a credible register for these elections. We are not going to fold our arms for them to do whatever they like.
If elections are fair, we all come out of the day, and the losers will congratulate the winners, and there's peace in the country. But if the right thing is not done, I can assure everybody that we will not sit down. We will ensure that the right thing is done.
My constituency also have been affected. After the exhibition exercise, we realized that there are some figures that is not adding up. So we are counting or depending on the EC to get back to us as soon as possible so that they can rectify all the corrections that we are asking them to do.
So the demonstration was across all 16 regional capitals across the country, and here in the Greater Accra region, the leadership of the NDC particularly marched to the Electoral Commission to Parliament to present petitions. A man who was on the ground with them, Obed Kinga, who joins me in studio. And then I also have in studio a Deputy National Youth Organizer of the NDC. I'll engage him shortly. But let's find out from you, Obed. What's your assessment of the demonstration? How did it go? You've covered a series of demonstrations.
Right, so Lily, basically the demonstration was largely peaceful as protesters marched from the Obrasport through the Central Business District to Parliament to present a petition to the leadership of Parliament, and then finally to the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. I must say that speaker after speaker, leadership of the National Democratic Congress drummed home their demand for a forensic audit to be done. Apart from that, when they got to Parliament and addressed the gathering and also presented a petition to the leadership, they made a call that stakeholders, including the ECOWAS, African Union, should intervene, and also they also called, apart from the forensic audit, made the demand that there should be re-exhibition of the voters register, a 5-day re-exhibition of the voters register. So largely it was a peaceful demonstration today.
We had reports of termination point changing at some point in the demonstration. Please fill me in.
Right, so what happened was that, you know, Parliament, the precincts of Parliament, the crowd were not allowed to enter. Even for journalists, we had to struggle before we could get closer to leadership of Parliament and also leadership of the National Democratic Congress. That brought some confusion here and there. And also when we went to the headquarters of the Electoral Commission, the police were making sure that we do not roll over to the premises of the Electoral Commission, and that also brought some confusion. But apart from that, I think that the leadership of the National Democratic Congress were able to control the crowd, and so it was largely peaceful.
Well, please hold on for me. Now, the NDC is demanding the immediate release of the forensic findings and an urgent meeting with key stakeholders, like Obed mentioned, ECOWAS, the African Union. During a presentation of the petition to the leadership of Parliament during the Enough is Enough demo, General Secretary of the party, Fifi Fiavi Kwete, stressed that the party's demand for an independent audit of the voter roll is justified.
Hundreds of supporters and sympathizers of the opposition NDC poured on the streets to protest against the Electoral Commission's refusal to allow for an independent audit of the voters' register ahead of the December 7 general elections. Led by the national chairman of the party, the protesters, clad in red and black, marched from the Kwame Nkrumah interchange through some principal streets of Accra to the EC head office, holding placards and chanting various revolution songs to register their displeasure against the commission. Minority Leader Dr. Kessel Atuforsen, speaking to the media, justified the NDC's call for a forensic audit of the voters' register.
And to avail himself in the register for a possible forensic audit of the system. It is all of us to understand that this must be done so we are demanding of agency. She should make the register and that must be done. It is not negotiable. We are demanding that we insist and should be done before the
Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram, Samuel Nete George, also had this to say.
You don't trust the competence of the people who produced the register that had all of those challenges in the first place. So let us have the opportunity to now vet it. And we don't want to do this as just the NDC. We want all the players in the election. You have an electoral commissioner that is a player in this game. They are not a referee. Have you listened to Jean Mensah? Have you listened to Bosman Asari? Have you listened to Samuel Tete? They don't engender credibility and trustworthiness with their behavior. I mean, when an electoral commission chair can look you in the face and tell the media that the NDC, the biggest political party in this country, is a threat to democracy, you think that that person can be trusted by anybody from our side to conduct a free and fair election, especially when you find the issues that we've found in the register? Clearly, none of them has carried themselves in a manner that is close to what the manner in which Afarijan carried himself.
The demonstration, which continued through to the Parliament House, brought the Central Business District to a standstill. Before the termination point, which is the Electoral Commission head office, the demonstration to the Parliament House, but were however denied of entry. The police mounted a barricade here to ensure that the demonstrators do not enter. This brought some confusion with the security. Presenting the petition to the leadership of Parliament, General Secretary of the NDC, Fifi Kwete, outlined the party's demands, including a bipartisan probe into the conduct of the Electoral Commission.
We are demanding for an emergency convening of all stakeholders. The Electoral Commission should urgently convene a meeting with all political parties, civil society organizations, and key international stakeholders, including the ECOWAS, the AU, the UNDP, the EU, USAID, and all others to discuss the forensic audit and ensure collective oversight of the electoral process.
So those were members of leadership of the NDC presenting petitions to Parliament and then the Electoral Commission. Obed, you were there. I recall that at some point journalists were moving up and down and we couldn't even find you. Tell us about that.
Right, so for demonstration, the crowd is very huge and you expect the heckling here and there because some of them will not heed to advice in terms of where to pass, where to stand and where not to stand. But it's important to add that the petition was received by the Majority Leader, Alexander Penjo-Making, who assured the leadership of the National Democratic Congress that they are going to look into the issues that they've presented. And then apart from that, they also moved to the Electoral Commission headquarters where they also presented a petition to the commission and it was received by the Deputy Chairperson in charge of operations, Samuel Tete, who also assured the leadership that they are going to look into the issues. As to whether or not they will heed to the forensic audit, we are waiting for the Electoral Commission on that.
Okay, Robert, thank you very much. But let's hear from the National Chair of the NDC, what people usually call General Mosquito Johnson Asiet Nketia.
Those who pretend to be peace-loving, if you pretend to be peace-loving and you are condoning wrongdoing,
you are actually the one who is brooding conflict in this country. Those who want peace must prepare and fight against the element that will bring disruption in the country. That is why we are ready to fight against the element that will disturb our democracy. So thank you very much, and may God bless our homeland Ghana. We will not retreat, and we will not surrender. We are going straight for victory. Victory for our democracy. Victory for not only a political party, but victory for the democracy and freedom of this country. At one point in time, must be tested. Thank you. Ghana's democracy is under serious threat now. And we want to prevail. Sorry. We shall overcome. Every democracy has to become small. Sorry. But don't just the resilience of that democracy is our ability to fight the tyrant and defeat him and restore democracy.
So you had the national chair of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, speaking the Enough is Enough demonstration here in the Greater Accra region. I've been joined in the studio. I mentioned to you earlier, Osman Ayariga. He's the Deputy National Youth Organizer of the NDC. Osman, you were there. Our cameras captured you a number of times during the demonstration. Do you think that this demonstration has drummed home your concerns, looking at the numbers?
Yes, thank you very much. And I would want to congratulate all 16 regions, especially the NDC, who were able to organize mammoth demonstrations across all 16 regions. And if you look at the outpour of people, those who were not even NDC members, who came out in their numbers to register their displeasure, it clearly tells you that a good number of people in this country believe that the direction in which the Electoral Commissioner is headed is the wrong direction and ought to listen to the hue and cry of the people of this country. So for me and for us in the NDC, we want to congratulate every person who came out, who defied all odds, whether your job, your personal issues, whatever plans you had today, to come out and join this mammoth demonstration, to register or to make your voice known and to also be heard that this was your position so far as the electoral register was concerned. As for the numbers speak for themselves. I have never seen or heard of any political party organize demonstrations in all 16 regions the same day. I've never. This is the first of its kind. This is the first of its kind. So as for the numbers and to talk about the success of the demonstration, the numbers and the success of this demonstration speaks for itself. And people can see, those who are watching can see, those who can also hear to have heard. So as for the success, it has been a success. And as our national chairman said, this is the first. We hope that the Electoral Commissioner will listen to us and proceed to organize or produce an independent forensic audit of the register. Otherwise, today we have produced 16 petitions. Otherwise, they will receive 276 petitions. That is the promise we're making to the EC. We hope we don't have to get to petitioning 276, but we just hope that we can end at 16 petitions and the EC will do the rightful thing.
Now, you have made certain demands.
Yes.
What are these demands? You say the EC should correct the unauthorized transfers.
Yes, first and foremost, per the petition, there are about 7 demands. And with your permission, let me just read so that I don't wrongly paraphrase some of them. Number 1, permit an independent forensic audit of the voters' register and its IT systems. That is number 1. Number 2, convince stakeholders for collaboration. And in these stakeholders, we spoke about stakeholders such as international stakeholders, we spoke about ECOWAS, we spoke about AU, etc., etc. Number 3, agree to publish the findings of the forensic audit. Because we don't expect you to have a forensic audit and at the end of the day you say NDC was wrong. If we are wrong, we expect you to come out and tell the entire public that NDC was wrong. That we are ready for it. So we expect the EC to publish the forensic
EC said
audit.
That, well, it has corrected those anomalies.
4, I'll come to that. 4, re-exhibit the voters register after the forensic audit. 5, review and correct all unauthorized transfers. 6, adopt a revised timeline for electoral activities. 7, institute accountability and integrity measures so far as the register is concerned. We have brought quite
so you're
a
making
number.
7 demands?
Yes, 7 demands per our petition. We have taken the first group of issues to the EC. And remember, when we spoke about some of these abnormalities, so far as transfers were concerned, deleting of people's names from the register was concerned, the EC vow and stood on its grounds. That's everything the NDC was saying was wrong. Until we proved to the EC. In fact, they said that it was impossible for transfers to be made without the notice or the permission of, or the collaboration of the persons that were being transferred. Then we proved to the Electoral Commission that here it is. Some names have actually been transferred. Some names, in fact, in Pusiga, in Tamale North, Tamale South, names were being transferred to Pusiga, about 38 names. You talk about constituencies such as Ejumaku constituency, where about 3,000 names have been deleted from the register. The same thing, you talk about Ewutu Senya East, where about 128 names are no more found in the register. You talk about Yilo Krobo. So you realize that the issues transcend across constituencies. And it's not just about Pusiga or Ejimako. So we then tell you, the AC, that beyond Pusiga, we need to further open up the register and have a comprehensive audit, forensic audit of the register. Because what we are seeing is beyond just the 38 names in Pusiga. And we have the proof. So we do not also believe that you being the EC and currently the custodian of this register, and you are actually a culprit so far as this mismanagement of the register is concerned. We do not have any more trust in the EC that if we simply hand over our concerns to you, all these concerns can be corrected. That's why we are calling for a stakeholders platform. We're calling for a forensic audit so that every stakeholder, every actor in this election, be it MPP, be it NDC, be it CPP, be it APC, be it the EC themselves, independent bodies, let's sit together, bring your representatives, then we can look into the register one after the other so it can all be corrected at once, so that we all can agree. We all can have a consensus as to the register we're taking into the elections.
The first time you raised concerns, you presented evidence. Why not present evidence? Because after you raised those concerns, the EC said, we're taking steps to correct these and all.
Because the first time we raised the concerns, the EC said it was just mere propaganda. It wasn't true. So we needed to prove to the EC. So what we just gave was just a tip of the iceberg. So to prove to the EC. So we've already provided the first one. You remember the second one, the EC asked that we should come and provide the evidence. We went there with the media, and the EC said they were not ready to meet us with the media. We wanted the entire world to see the width of the discrepancies, the width of the abnormalities in the register. The EC was not ready. The EC wasn't ready to meet us with the media, yet they want to meet us in closer. We said we are not ready to meet you in closer because the weight of the evidence, the discrepancies we have is so heavy that the entire register needs to be audited in a forensic manner. So that is why we still maintain our position that we need to have a forensic audit of the register. And the hypocrisy of Madam Jane is so pronounced and profound because just in 2014, 2015, Madam Jane Mensah, who was head of IA, was calling for an independent audit of the register at the time, which was granted.
But remember at the time, even before being granted, Charlotte Osei mentioned issues of cost and timelines. Don't you think this also incur extra costs?
It's better to pay in terms of cost to rectify a register than to pay costs in the form of suffering if a wrongful person is elected as president. So it's better for us to pay money to clean up the register than for us to pay with our lives in terms of suffering when the wrong candidate is elected. Because at the end of the day, you can see that this entire system is being skewed to put the MPP back in power. And that will end up with you and I suffering. So it's better for us to use money now to rectify a mistake than for you and I to use our lives to suffer that mistake. So we are not ready to continue with this register. We are not ready to adhere to the EC's demands. All we need is for us to sit and comprehensively audit this register. As simple as that. How difficult can it be?
If the register is not audited, even after this memo demonstration, if it is not audited after 276 petitions, would you partake in the election?
It's not for I, as Deputy National Youth Organizer, seated here solely to tell you whether or not we'll partake in the elections. Just as our national chairman and leader of the party, the flag bearer, have already stated. at every point or every step in the way, people have asked, if this doesn't happen, what next? If this doesn't happen, what next? When we brought up the issue of the audit of the register, people say, if the EC doesn't adhere to us, what are we going to do? Then we announced 16 demonstrations. So we've also announced that if they do not adhere to this current 16 demonstrations, they are going to receive 276 petitions. So I'll beg of you, let's wait after the 276. I hope it doesn't get to 276. But if it gets to 276, we'll also announce the next step. I would not want to take the wind out of the sail. But be rest assured, we are resilient, we are resolute, and we'll make sure we will fight to make sure the right thing is done and the right thing will be done. Madam Jane Mensah, in her own hypocritical way, cannot force us to be victims of her own mistakes or Machiavellian tactics to make sure that she skews this election in a certain direction for the MPP. We will not take that. We are not ready to take that. And we are not in a position to take that. That we shall not take.
Now, this afternoon, I saw a post by the national organizer of the NPP, and speaking on a sister station, he vehemently, let me say critically, alluded to that statement he posted on his Facebook page, and he said that the NPP will fight and oppose any action that undermines the independence of the Electoral Commission.
Then again, that is a great hypocrite, or let me say a greater hypocrite. In 2016, his own party, his former boss, when he was organizing the press conferences, he, Nana B, today was part of those press conferences when they were calling for the auditing of the register. So what has changed? Yes. So what has changed? So please let us not.
But then the EC says
hypocrisy.
The auditing of the register is synonymous to the exhibition of the voters register.
No, the exhibition of the register is entirely different from the auditing of the register. Exhibition of the register clearly is for you and I with our voters ID card to go into the register and find out, Osman Ayaga, is your name rightly spelled there?
Is it not the same?
It's not the same.
Okay.
Osman Ayaga, is your name rightly spelled there? Yes or no? Is your date of birth rightly written there? Yes or no? That is different from later having to find out on the day of vote. If I walk to Boko Central, where I vote, to go and vote, just to realize that my name has been transferred to Ejumako. So the exhibition is entirely different exercise. The exhibition is just for you to go and make sure that the right particulars have been inputted there. You know, beyond the exhibition, usually there's also transfer.
Yes.
So you see, that is where the issue is. So if after exhibition, I've gone to check and all my particulars are rightly inputted there, and on the day of transfer, because I know I'm not engaging in any transfer, I do not go there to even verify again. And at the end of the day, somebody sits in the comfort of his home, inputs my data and transfers me to another constituency. What it means is that I'll wake up in the morning of 7, travel all the way. It has happened. It has happened.
But
3,000.
You brought to the attention of the EC.
Yes, 3,795 names have been deleted from the register without their notice. So here's the case: you verified your name is in the register.
Could that be that they did not go to verify their details? That is why they are.
But all these discrepancies have been brought up even after the voter exhibition exercise. So what it means is that the entire voter exhibition exercise we did was an exercise in futility. Because all these discrepancies that you are saying,
I'm sure you know a lot of Ghanaians did not go to verify. I'm sure you know that.
A lot also went to verify, and that is why we have been able to identify most of these issues. Because some people went to verify and they realized that their names have been wrongfully inputted. Some too went to verify and they realized that their names are actually not captured in the areas they decided to register. Then we decided to take pains time to be able to check one after the other and realize that some names have been illegally transferred from one polling station into another polling station without their notice.
Did these people go to verify their details prior?
Yes, some went to verify their details prior. Yes, some went to verify their details prior. Like we had one case, I think there was one case, an issue of, I think the person was around Tesano. A classical example. His name was there, but later when we went to verify, realized that they're actually taking his name off the Tesano register. So you realize that these discrepancies are just calculated to make sure that a good number of people, from our calculation, over 300,000 people to be disenfranchised on the day of elections. Some names deleted, some names wrongfully transferred so that you have your ID card, your name is in the register, but it is in the wrong location. So your name has not been deleted. So you realize that if we ask for the total number in the register, if it's maybe 10 million, they'll give us the same register, it's 10 million. The figure we have will be 10 million. So you say that the total figure tallies. But what you will not see is that in that 10 million, 300,000 of them have been rearranged. One will say musical chairs. So they remove you from here and they take you here. So your name is in the register, but it's not in the polling station that you expect to go and vote. At the end of the day, you'll be disenfranchised. Do you know what it means for 300,000 people on the day of election not being able to vote? That alone will be enough to sway the election in a certain direction for a candidate. And we are not ready to be victims of some Machiavellian tactics by the EC to make sure she's able to secure victory for the MP. We will not. And that is why we are resisting. We will continue to resist it. If the EC wants to behave as though it's an extension of the MPP, we will treat them as an extension of the MPP. And clearly that is what they are doing. And that is how we are going to treat them. And we will demand accountability so far as the register is concerned. We shall not relent. We shall not retreat. And we shall not surrender.
Does the NDC have issues of trust with the Electoral Commission?
Absolutely.
Because the chair was appointed by the certain president.
Not only the chair, you have former TESCOM patrons in there. You have former lecturers who, even in the comfort of their classrooms, were talking about MPP seated in there. You have the EC chair act in a way that we all believe is so glaring that even the blind, if they could see on their face, they will see that she's been skewing the entire election towards the MP. So we obviously do not trust the Electoral Commission. So we are going in there with our own Electoral Commission. When I say we're going in there with our own Electoral Commission, means that we are going into this election prepared, knowing that the Electoral Commission is part of the MPP, and we are going in there prepared. And that is why we are making sure that everything in the step, everything along this entire chain is done properly, and it must be done in an order of transparency, integrity, and fairness.
Okay, I'll let you go, but I want to take your thoughts on this. The next story I'm going to do is on a shooting incident in the Ashanti region. I'm sure you've learned of it.
You mean today's?
Yes, today's protest.
Yes, I saw some videos of the protesters in the Ashanti region. I think they wanted to go beyond a barricade, and there were issues, and I think some pushed the barricade open just to go into the office of the Electoral Commission. I do not have the full details as to what really happened, whether the police attacked them or they attacked
the police says it did not, but we spoke to our reporter and we understand there was a shooting incident.
Yes, so I don't think a peaceful protest should degenerate into shooting. So shooting is who shot who? Is it the police that shot or the protesters that shot at the police? Which we do not know.
Okay.
But of course, we only expected the protest to be as peaceful as possible. But what we also need to understand, what the security service and the EC need to understand, is that there's so much bottled up anger in the citizenry. There's so much hunger and anger. So if people want to go out there and protest, allow them to go out and protest peacefully, because just as they protest, they are able to unleash that anger in them. But if you in a way try to gag them, if you in a way try to stifle that's unleash that they need to unleash, then it may just generate into some chaos. But across the country, it has been generally peaceful. 16 demonstrations. If all 16 were peaceful with just a bit of misunderstanding within the Ashanti region, I think generally we need to congratulate the NDC and leadership for organizing such a peaceful protest.
And the security services as well.
Yes, of course, and the security services as well. And of course, the media. You guys did a fantastic job. I saw your reporter in the crowd struggling with his camera left, right. I saw other media houses also struggling. Sometimes they get lost, they come back. The security men sometimes block them. They had to, identify themselves as the media so that they were given some special treatment to be able to cover their news. So I want to congratulate you for being there for us, and we hope that we don't have to do the 276 demonstrations, but if it gets there, we would love to see you there too.
Absolutely, we'll be there when it gets there. That's Osman Ayaga. He's a deputy national youth organizer for the largest opposition party, the NDC. Let's move on with still staying on the Enough is Enough demonstration. Now, in the Ashanti region, It turned chaotic after demonstrators clashed with police near the Ashanti Regional Electoral Commission office this afternoon. The protests, which began peacefully, escalated as protesters forcefully broke into a police barricade, compelling police officers to respond by firing 2 warning shots and releasing a tear gas. Ashanti Regional correspondent Isaac Justice Bediako has more in the following report. We do apologize, we could not bring you that story, but we'll bring it to you in subsequent belts. That's it for Insight. In business news tonight, the Cybersecurity Authority of Ghana has issued a warning about a sharp rise in online scams. Between January and August 2024, nearly 2 million cedis has been lost to these fraudulent schemes. According to the authority, scammers are using social media ads, emails and text messages to lure victims, often relying on fake testimonials to make their scams appear legitimate. The authority urges the public to be cautious with investment opportunities that require quick decisions and emphasizes the importance of verifying the legitimacy of any investment by consulting regulatory bodies. We do apologize for that little glitch there. Let's extend the conversation on online scams. We've been joined via Zoom by the National Computer Emergency Response Team of the Cybersecurity Authority, Isaac Sokrit Mensah. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening.
Now,
good evening to everyone watching us as well.
Right. I see that nearly 2 million cedis has been lost to online scams between January and August alone. How worrying is this?
This is actually a very worrying situation because if you compare to what we witnessed last year within a space from January to December, we received 63 reports and then close to about 400,000 losses. And looking at the jump just within from January till August, about just 8 to 9 months, and we are seeing close to 2 million. That's almost quadruple the amount that we saw last year. So it's actually quite a worrying situation, and the way at which they are operating is becoming quite worrisome as well, because the modules has changed, like you mentioned. Now they are stepping it up. They are now on social media advertising their schemes, finding ways to make it appear very legitimate, cloning websites of legitimate organizations. So if you are not paying attention or not doing the necessary due diligence, you are likely to fall victim. And these days, the way in which they operate has become so professional, as though they are very legitimate, operating as legitimate organizations, only at the end for them to dupe you of your money.
But how do we deal with this? I mean, day in, day out, people are becoming sophisticated in duping or scamming people.
Yes, so one of the best ways to do is always to update yourself as individuals, as persons within the space on some of these trends. What the authority usually does is once we catch up or we get a hint of what is happening within the space, or there's a new modus operandi, we always come out to alert the public on what is happening and how they can even identify them, and also how they can prevent falling victim to some of these schemes. That is one of the ways. Another way that people can actually do is, or one of the modules is that they promise very high returns. Usually above what is the banks are offering or what legitimate organizations are offering. Those are the ways that they lure their victims. So if you are going in for any kind of scheme or investment scheme of that sort, with very promising too good to be...
All right, so just as Mr. Mensah was mentioning, you want to be cautious when you're transacting anything online, as online scams are on the increase. That's it for the business brief. Up next, a sports update.
Now, thanks for joining me here on Sports Brief. My name is Monica Bukari. Now, let's begin. Our pitch management and infrastructure expert, Alhaji Salif Hussein Kari, has advocated that it's about time Ghana opts for the hybrid grass turf to enhance its football development. Hybrid grass is a mixture of natural grass supported by artificial fibers. Speaking in exclusively via Zoom on the game here on GHOne TV and Star FM, the hybrid grass expert indicated that maintenance culture has been a major challenge, but was quick to add that with hybrid grass, not much is needed for its maintenance after initial huge investment in installing it.
If you look at our pitches, I'm sure this was the same pitches we used to host the CAN 208.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if something has gone wrong, but there's definitely something has gone on wrong with our pitches management. Okay. Yes, our routine maintenance as Ghanaians is our problem. That has put us into this shame. Okay. It's a national shame. Let's opt for the hybrid, because that's when the maintenance is a bit easier than the natural grasses. We have a problem, and our problem is the maintenance culture, not any other thing. That is why our grasses are worn out. And you know, Ghana mentality, oh, we rent it out for concerts, we rent it out for churches, we rent it out for so many games, programs. And you know, natural grass, it is natural, even the artificial. It's when you overuse it, overburden it, I think it will not be fit for such matches. Everything hybrid is a combination of the artificial, a bit of it, and then the natural grasses. Okay. It is easier to maintain. That is why I asked for us to opt to the hybrid, so that we can escape. When you mentioned it, you said that the natural grass, the hybrid, and then the artificial turf. At least if we can't do one, let's opt in for one that will save us the situation. That is why I'm agitating and calling on the government to opt in for the hybrid type, so that we'll escape some of these things, and it will.
Now, the National Sports Authority, NSA, has officially closed down the Accra Sports Stadium and Cape Coast Sports Stadium for work to begin on the pitches. This sudden move aims to enhance the quality of these facilities for future international matches, ensuring they meet global standards. This closure also follows a recent CAF ban on the Babaya Sports Stadium from hosting any CAF or FIFA senior international matches due to its deteriorating condition on its pitch. On September 6, 2024, the Ghana Football Association, GFA, engaged in comprehensive discussions with the Sports Ministry and the NSA. These discussions centered around the immediate need to repair the Cape Coast Sports Stadium. Given the current circumstances, it appears that Ghana might be posed to host Sudan in Cape Coast, assuming no unforeseen obstacles arise. The closure of these major sports venues for maintenance is a significant step towards ensuring that Ghana's sports infrastructure can support high-level international competitions. That does it for sports. My name is Monica Bukari. Back to you, Lily.
Quite unfortunate that a number of our stadiums have been shut down. But that's it for the news. My name is Lily Mohammed. For more news updates, kindly log on to starfm.com.gh. Have a good evening and please be safe.